Right. I think that this is really a no-brainer because it combines a number of features that have been present in emerging market success stories in many countries over the last, I don't know, since the 1970s. You've got, first of all, enormous reserves of low-cost, untapped oil and natural gas as well, which makes it quite a lot like Russia in the early 90s. And then you've got recovery from civil war, which makes it be a lot like Sri Lanka, starting in around, I guess the Sri Lankan civil war didn't really end in the early 2000s, but somehow it was already clear enough to people that it was ending, that market had just incredible performance from like 2000 to 2008 or something. I don't remember exactly the details, but Sri Lanka is a case in point regarding recovery from civil war. And then you've also got a transition from the state-owned economy to the market economy story going on, which of course everyone immediately recognizes as the story of the Chinese economy. It's just so easy to find precedents for, I mean, you wouldn't really have to convince anybody. There's so many precedents that you wouldn't really have to convince anybody that a country that had enormous untapped low-cost oil wealth was recovering from a civil war and was in the midst of a transition from state control of the economy to a market economy, to which we might also add a country where just about every type of basic economic sector is lacking because of course, of the Iran-Iraq war and then 10 years of economic sanctions. Everyone knows this story. It's just inconceivable that Iraq will not experience rapid economic growth for the foreseeable future, simply because the oil is coming on stream. Now, of course, no one thinks it's really going to go up to the 10 million barrel a day level that the government initially claimed. People think maybe they'll be lucky to get to 6, but even if they get to 4 or 5, that's a doubling from what it was before. So you're going to have a doubling of oil production. That alone is going to drive GDP growth. On top of that, you've got like a tremendous investment boom as every conceivable type of structure or every aspect of Iraq's infrastructure is rebuilt. You're bound to have a dramatic expansion in the banking sector. I believe that I saw somewhere that only 20% of Iraqis have a bank account. That's an enormous room for growth in the banking sector. Or telecom sector, we heard from AsiaCell today. Penetration rates are still like very low compared to the region. There's all sorts of broadband that isn't available at all yet. You've got this combination of extreme lack of everything. Well, okay, that could be Chad or someplace, but combined with this amazing ability to purchase all of these things due to the oil wealth, I don't see how even the most inept politicians could screw that one up. So that's why I think the Iraq story, it seems like uniquely compelling among all of the economies in the world today. I suppose that there may be equivalent stories in parts of sub-Saharan Africa. But I can't really imagine anything quite as good as this, anything that combines all of these things in one place at one time. Any place that has such an enormous amount of untapped oil wealth, such a lack of, such a low starting point. It seems to me the potential for growth in Iraq should be obvious to anyone. And then, of course, I think the Kurdistan region is has an additional attraction in addition to all of this because it's safe, and that makes it a natural gateway for every foreigner that's doing any kind of business activity in Iraq will try to do that activity in Kurdistan if they possibly can. Of course, not everyone can, but anyone that could. Me, for example, I'm here now. I'm not in the rest of Iraq because it's so much easier and cheaper for me to come here. Well, that means that Rabi Securities, my broker, has got to hold the conference here so that I can come to it. That means that this hotel gets to host the conference. That means that you're going to build hotels here. It means you're going to have all manner of service providers from the rest of Iraq setting up offices here so that they can service their foreign clients or customers, or whatever the case may be, more easily. It also means that foreign investors that want to set up offices in Iraq, they'll probably put them here unless there's some reason why they must be in Baghdad or some other city. In addition to the rest of the Iraq story, the Kurdistan region also has this gateway to Iraq feature that means it has a tremendous potential to develop as a service sector. I feel that this is a logical place for a service sector to emerge, a service sector that includes all sorts of service providers that are interdependent on one another,